Most people use AI to answer questions, but the real power comes when you can start to create workflows that save you literally hours every single week. I run multiple businesses and most of my life with AI, and I don't have a huge team behind me. And the whole thing that makes this work isn't clever prompting, it's a handful of workflows running in the background. And most of them run on a schedule so that by the time I sit down in the morning, the work has already started. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 of my most used workflows. And for every single one of them, I'm going to show you it working and then take you through step by step the actual setup so you can copy every single one of them. Let's get into it. Workflow number 1, the daily email digest. Now, if you're anything like me, email is where I lose most of my time in the morning. So instead of getting my head stuck into my inbox first thing, I get Claude to do the first pass for me. Now, the key thing is here, it doesn't need to send me another email. The last thing a full inbox needs is one more email. So instead it runs on the Claude desktop app. And the summary is just waiting for me there when I sit down. So before I even open my inbox, I open Claude. And as you can see, there's a short brief at the top with a handful of emails that actually matter. And then underneath it's actually given me draft replies already written in my tone of voice. So this thread here perhaps would have taken me maybe 10 minutes or so to read and then reply to. And instead I would read 2 lines of it, I check the draft on Gmail, and then I can send, and it's done. That's the workflow. Now let me show you how to build it. Step 1, connect your Gmail. First, we need to be working within the Claude desktop app. So if you haven't already got that, go and download it. Once you're in, select Claude Cowork and go to Customize and then Connectors. Find Gmail and then log in. It will take about 30 seconds. But whilst we're here, if you also use Google Calendar, I'd recommend installing that one as well. Now, it's important to understand that you can actually set the different permissions on how these connectors work. And for now, I'm actually going to allow it to draft emails for me, which I can always review before sending. Step 2, write the instructions. Now, the instructions are the important bit. You need to tell it how you want your inbox triaged and what counts as important, what to ignore, and what a good reply from you sounds like. When I set this up, I also gave it a few examples of my own emails so it could learn how I talk. Now I'm going to paste in a prompt here, which I'm also going to give you for free below, and you can just download it from the description below. It says something like this: every morning, go through my Gmail inbox from the last 24 hours and give me a summary here in my desktop app. Don't email me. And then I say it needs to sort things into 3 groups. Things that need me today, things that are worth knowing, and then any noise. And then for anything that needs me today, that needs a reply, it should draft one in Gmail in my voice and then leave it as a draft for me to review. And then I've said if it's not sure about something, flag it rather than guessing. Step 3 is to save this task so you're not having to rewrite it every single time. Step 4 is then to schedule it. Now, because I run this in Cowork on the Claude desktop app, I can set it to run at 6 a.m. every single morning. And then the summary is there, just sitting there, waiting for me. And that's the whole thing, a connector, a prompt, and a task running right on your desktop. One thing worth knowing is the same as anything on Claude Cowork. Your computer has to be on for it to run. And that's because it's running on your machine and not in the cloud. But here's the good bit. If your laptop's off at 6 a.m., the task doesn't just vanish. And you don't have to remember to run it. The moment you open your machine, Claude spots the missed run and then does it there and then. But beware, it only catches up on the most recent one. So if you've been away for a week, you'll only get this morning's digest and not the previous 7. Workflow number 2, turn your meetings into actions. Now here's the thing about meetings. The meeting is actually the easy bit. The bit that gets lost is what everyone has agreed to do afterwards. Now this was a call that I had earlier, and by the time I'd shut my laptop, every single action from the meeting was already sitting in Notion, which are where I manage my tasks. Who's doing what, by when, and I didn't even have to write a single one of them. Now that's the result. Let me show you how I wired it up. Step 1, you need to get a note taker into your calls. There are loads available, but for this example, I'm going to show you the one that I use, which is called Fireflies. It sits within the meeting recording and will transcribe everything for you afterwards. Step 2 is to connect your Notion to Claude in the same way that we connected Gmail in the first example. Go to Connectors, Notion, and then log in. And then you can point Claude to where you want to have the database stored for the tasks. Step 3, create your prompt. Now, I wanted to take the transcript, pull out every single action that is agreed, and work out who owns it, and then when's it due, and then create an item for each one of those in the Notion database. So the prompt goes something like this. Take the transcript from my last meeting and pull out every action point. For each one, work out what needs doing, who owns it, and a date if one was mentioned. Create each action as a new item in my Notion database with the owner and due date filled. And then I've said to ignore any kind of general chit chat. And then the final step, run it after every single call, or even better, to get it to run every single hour to check if there's been any meetings that have finished. Not only does this save a bunch of time, but it means that the meetings you're in, you can be fully engaged without having to take a bunch of notes and list actions. Now, this doesn't make up for a bad meeting, so it's still on you to get to the point, not to ramble, and leave with clear actions that everybody's agreed with in the meeting. Workflow 3, the WhatsApp digest. And this one's a little bit different. A lot of genuinely useful information runs through WhatsApp groups now. And I'm a member of quite a few that constantly talk about things like AI, but the downside is that I get to the end of the day and there might be like 500 messages in my inbox. You may recognize this as a bit of a problem. But instead of scrolling through all that, I get a neat summary in Claude once per week that I can jump into the actual thread if I want to see more. Now this is what I get once a week. My busy groups, each one summarized in a couple of lines. So that group there had over 200 messages across the week, and I get the handful of things actually worth knowing about it, and I didn't even open the group. Now here's how to set that up. Step 1, this one needs a bridge because WhatsApp doesn't connect to Claude directly. And in this case, I use something called Beeper. If you install it and then connect your WhatsApp into it by scanning the QR code that is shown. Now the next step is to wire Beeper into Claude so Claude can read your messages and go through it. Now step 3 is the prompt. You need to tell it which groups you want to summarize and to give you the signal and not just all the noise that you're going to get with it. Again, this prompt is going to be available in the description below, so if you want it for free, just go and find it. Each week, go through these WhatsApp groups in Beeper and give me a digest here in the desktop app. And for each group, pull out the 3 to 5 things that are actually worth knowing from the week. Things like tools, links, decisions, anything genuinely useful. To skip the chit chat, any kind of off-topic things. And then the final step is to schedule this on a weekly basis in the same way that we schedule the email digest. So the summary's waiting for us in Claude. And for me, I run mine first thing on a Monday. Now, one thing worth knowing is the same as Claude Desktop, Beeper has to be running on your machine for this to work. A bit like leaving an app open in the background. Now, this is a workflow that I've only recently built out, so it's still evolving, but I'm already less distracted by the background noise of all the group chats that I'm in, and I can focus on the work at hand without missing any of the important information. Workflow number 4, the weekly competitor report. Now in business, competition is everything, and as the saying goes, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. One way I do this is by getting an up-to-date report about what our competitors are up to on a regular basis. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to use the example of the competitors for our karting business, which is called Buckmore Park. Now there are a few other kart circuits in the UK, and every Monday this report lands in my inbox. Their social media, what's changed on their website, their pricing, any new events they've got coming up, the whole picture in one email report. And unlike the morning digest, this is one I actually want in my email because it's a report that I file and then look back on week. Now previously this used to take several hours, or you'd have to have an intern or junior employee working on this to be put together, but thankfully Claude will do this all for us in a really efficient and timely manner. So let's set this up. Step 1, make your own competitor list. List your main competitors, their websites, their social profiles, and drop any links into your prompt. Step 2, you need to write a prompt. Each week, check these sites and these profiles, look at what's changed since last time, look at any pricing, new events, and anything else new on the site, and write it up in these sections. And as you can see from the prompt that I'm pasting in, I wanted to get a pricing summary, website summary, any social media, and any events. Step 3 is to give it the ability to actually read the web. And this is where the Claude Chrome extension or web browsing comes in, so it can go and look at the live pages. And step 4 is to schedule it weekly. Monday morning, and that's how I have mine. This is the kind of job you know you should be doing, but you never get quite round to it. But now it does itself. And workflow number 5, the trip planner. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll find that trip planning can be both fun, but also really painful at the same time. It requires a bunch of research, it takes a lot of time, and you end up going down a lot of dead ends. So let me show you a real example. A few weeks back, I went to Amsterdam for a developer conference. Normally that's a whole evening of tabs, flights, hotels near the venue, working out how I'm actually going to get from the airport, how far each hotel is away from the conference. But instead, I handed the whole lot to Claude. I told it where I was going, the conference, and the dates, and that I was flying out of London, and roughly what I wanted to spend. And it came back with everything. A couple of flight options each way, a short list of hotels near the venue, and for each one, the price, the review score, and crucially, how long it would take me to walk each morning to the conference venue, how to get from Schiphol to the hotel and how long that takes, and then a simple day-by-day itinerary for the whole trip. And that's the bit I'd normally lose an evening to, 40 tabs and a spreadsheet, but instead this is done for me in one go. Now this is where it gets quite interesting. Once I'd actually picked the flight and the hotel, it can actually go and start booking things for me. Now there are a number of hotel booking tools that you can plug straight into Claude, and it will go and book the room directly. The same with flights. And if there isn't a tool for what you need, you can actually fall back to the Claude Chrome extension, and it will drive itself through the website itself, clicking through the way that you would. Now this workflow is less about the wiring and more about the brief. So the better the brief, the better the result. So step 1, write the brief. And here's the actual one I used for Amsterdam. And it says something like, I'm going to Amsterdam for a developer conference, and here are the details. I give it the details of the conference, where I'm flying in and out of, who I'm flying with, any budget. And then I wanted to do research on flights, hotels, and then how I'd get there, and also a simple day-to-day itinerary. And then step 2 let it research. With web browsing turned on, it will go off and pull real flights, real hotels, use maps to work out the walking times, and that's the bit that saves a lot of time. And then the final step is booking. If you want to actually book, you've got two routes. There are dedicated hotel booking tools that you can connect to through Claude, things like Light API or Travel Code, and then it will actually let you book a room properly through the travel system. For anything without a dedicated tool, you can switch on the Chrome extension and let it drive itself through the website. Now the research and the itinerary, that's the bit that's rock solid, and I will lean on that for every single trip. But the booking part is a bit newer. It's more exciting, but I would keep a close eye on it. I'm not going to be giving it my credit card details anytime soon. So that's the 5 workflows I use to save me literally hours every single week. And if you look across the 5, there's one recurring theme. None of these replace me fully. Each one does the boring 80% that I don't really want to do. So I can spend my time on the 20% that actually needs me. And that's the whole idea with leveraging AI. Not handing your life over, but getting the grunt work off your plate so you can spend your time better elsewhere. If you want the exact setups, the prompts, and the templates for all 5 of these workflows, then I've put together a free pack and put the link in the description below. If you found this useful, don't forget to subscribe as I'll be doing a load more videos very soon. Otherwise, I'll see you for the next one.